Go. And then let me just... Yeah, look at that. A waveform. Okay.
Waveform? I don't even know her. Up top.
Okay. I'm not going to do anything for that. Terrible. Terrible. All right, you ready?
That's the intro. What's up, everyone?
Hey!
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 So, a new week of things. Lots of things to talk about. Welcome to the Mort's GarageCast, episode number 3. And they say third time is the charm, because I think tonight we're actually going to go live at the end of this one.
We think.
So, you know, if you're watching the next day, there might be a live stream up on YouTube. But regardless, we're glad you're here. I am joined, as always, by mighty co-host Joshua.
You know it. I was pointing because they know it. They were all saying it.
They all, like,
well,
out loud.
they were like, Josh!
First of all, do you like my shirt?
Parade. I do like your shirt.
You know who that is?
I do know who Sunny Day Real Estate is.
I got to see him play.
I beat up the people that liked that band in high school.
You have not ever been in a fight in your life.
Yeah.
You beat them up with kindness.
No,
I've never heard you be mean, sardonic, sarcastic, cynical.
What are you talking about? No.
Josh is pure hot joy.
You know, I didn't listen to them in high school, but I was aware. But
all right, real quick, someone's going Who's Sunny Day Real Estate. What album do you tell them to go do first? How It Feels to Be Something On.
There you go.
That's the one.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
A lot of stuff, man, and you know what? A lot of Nintendo news. So let's talk about all the other news first.
They had a big presentation today, but you want to skip that first.
Well, just a lot of Nintendo things. I think Nintendo we're going to
lead us up.
Let's talk about Nintendo's greatest rival, Sega.
Well, yeah, I was going to make a joke, but
at one time, right?
Okay, so Nintendo,
those of us who served in the console wars in the 90s remember those days. I was in the trenches, man.
Were you?
Yeah, I was.
That's cool.
Sure. Yeah.
And how did you change the world for the better as a result of that?
Oh, we didn't. We didn't.
Yeah, okay.
Nor
good.
did we want
to.
So, Sega, once a console manufacturer, once one of the big boys.
Which, if you're going to go out, at least they went out on top.
Well,
the Dreamcast is one of the best consoles of all time.
It's a pretty
based on the
at
library.
the time.
Based on
that
the library,
thing was kind of wild. Like, it came out, it had a modem in it. It had Shenmue.
But I'm just saying the graphics on that were... I remember being in Best Buy, seeing the Dreamcast in a kiosk and going...
I saw Sonic Adventure or whatever, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, I remember seeing NBA 2K going, why did they put a sports game on, not realizing it was graphics? I just had that experience for the first time again. There's some game called... I don't want to script the name. It's like Unwound or... Are you familiar?
Unsighted? No.
I don't know, but... But ACG, the Angry Centaur, I think that's his name, he posted a video of gameplay of it. It's not clear if it's like a point-and-click kind of a thing or not. Okay. But it still was almost indistinguishable, if not entirely indistinguishable from reality. Yeah. It's to me, it's frightening, like how the fidelity is. And I know we'll be there one day.
Well, Sega, the interesting thing about Sega, like you were mentioning, they didn't really... I mean, you say they went out on top, but Sega did something very different than everybody else that kind of just goes under.
Yeah.
Which is they went third party and became just a games manufacturer. Yeah. Like, they stayed in the game, but they altered their trajectory, which some people don't do, you know?
Yeah.
Not Neo Geo, but like... The Jaguar, it's just like, oh, they're done. Atari's kind of done.
The
Atari Jaguar. Did you do the math?
Did you say Jaguar?
Jaguar.
Jaguar.
The Jaguar.
The
Jaguar.
Go on.
So, Sega, they're still around. They're still doing stuff. Yeah. They still make Sonic the Hedgehog games.
They do.
Not a single person wants them. They make them. But...
That is not true. Sonic fans are screaming at you. What they want,
all 5 of them.
What they want is a good Sonic
you're
game.
never going to get those because there never was one. Anyways,
right.
So Sega's buying Rovio?
Yeah, Angry Birds.
Yeah, if you didn't know who Rovio was, Angry Birds.
Which is interesting because Angry Birds was all the rage.
Yeah.
I think, the Angry Birds game on the PlayStation Vita, of all things.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there's an Angry Birds movie.
There was.
Maybe 2 of them. In fact, someone whom we're talking about, click on
Oh, you think so?
Let's see. Hold on.
You think so?
Yes. So in fact, someone whom we're going to be interviewing actually worked on that movie. Yeah. We'll get to that in a minute.
Sure.
That's foreshadowing for one of our topics coming up.
Yeah, it is.
But nonetheless, they disappeared. I feel like the Angry Birds...
Yeah, you're right. So
it's a strange time to sell.
Sega is buying...
What money do you see in buying it?
Sega is buying Rovio for $775 million.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's that's 3/4 of a bill.
A little more than that, yeah.
And what's interesting is you're right about, like, now is not the heyday of Angry Birds, but at one point Angry Birds was. We have a couple games that they're like monumental. And when we talk about Tetris, Tetris is a monumental game. Yes. Minecraft is a monumental game.
Fortnite.
There are a bunch of cell phone games that are like that. Candy Crush is a monumental game. I think Angry Birds at one point was, that game was everywhere. It was on everything. It would come out. It was huge, but you don't always stay on the top forever.
No.
And I feel like somebody said this. I was listening to a podcast. This is literally the whole thing, which is if there was a way to do Angry Birds 2 or like the next Angry Birds, Rovio would have done it and they wouldn't have been being bought.
This is a good point.
It is a good point, right?
That's a really good point.
It kind of tells you that, like, if they couldn't figure it out, I don't think there is another thing from them. So, maybe Sega's just buying them to get the Angry Birds games, which probably still make some money.
I would think that there's still... those games...
There's still some value there.
Probably don't cost a lot of money to develop.
Right.
There's probably... You can milk the brand even more.
There are some that are up right now that you could make money.
Yeah, and I would think, like, maybe free to... Is it already free to play? Probably.
Who knows? I bet you there's microtransactions all throughout it.
Nonetheless, we'll be interested to see what Sega does with this Angry Birds purchase.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well then let's just continue with some non-Nintendo news. What is going on with Halo?
I have no idea, and it makes me sad because Halo was an event. It used to be, hold on, you guys, I'm taking off work. Hopefully it comes out.
7-Eleven is selling it. Like, that's how big, right? At one point, I think Halo 3, you could line up at a 7-Eleven and buy Halo 3.
And it was so fun. It was, I think,
huge.
Halo is responsible for modernizing and actualizing online gameplay on consoles. When Halo 2 came out,
that's true.
There was hardly ever any issue with plugging your Xbox in through that Ethernet cable and throwing it online and getting well-played, smooth matches of multiplayer. And without that, I think Halo 2 would have been like a great game, but I think that just catapulted it. And then I think there's something about the design of it where kudos to the team that... Is it 343?
343 is the company that now does it. But
yes.
The Halo, when people talk about Halo, oftentimes they're talking about Bungie.
Yeah, right. But I'm just saying, but 343, I think they had to try and do something different.
You're the Halo guy. I know nothing about Halo. There's a master chef. He's really good at things.
He's amazing.
He's cooking.
Yep.
So 343 is in the canon. It's like...
343 owns it. It's their thing.
No. 343 is something in Halo. Isn't it? Am I crazy? I thought So Guilty Spark? There's a Guilty Spark.
Here's my confession.
Okay.
I've played every Halo game.
Do you not know a thing about what's going on in the story?
From beginning to end, except for the current one. I'm not at the end of it yet, but I'm close. On Xbox One. I do not have any idea other than Covenant bad.
Okay. Well, then we are both the best possible pilots to shepherd you into the lore of Halo. Guilty Spark, Cortana, Arbiter, Halo.
As far as fine-tuned first-person shooter gameplay, that and Call of Duty are, for me...
the parts that are important, like, I can throw a grenade, shoot this guy, the battle rifle.
It's so fun. I mean, when you get a team SWAT, for me, is like one of the most fun multiplayer experiences of all time. I've had people here at the garage where we've had the two TVs hooked up, one with a 360 and we connect them to each other, and we just play on 8 people on this brown couch.
College dorm style.
Dude, it's so much fun playing SWAT. It is why this garage exists.
Well, I don't want to bum you out, but the current state of Halo seems a little rough because they've lost they've lost a lot of people, but they've lost recently 2 big names in Halo. One is Frank O'Connor, who is the Halo franchise director. Frank O'Connor, I think, also was involved in Gears of War. He's been involved with a lot of Microsoft stuff.
Sure.
And Joseph Staten, who was all the way back in the Bungie days, and then was around for Destiny, and then left Bungie to come back to Microsoft, and then I think was brought in as a fixer for Infinite, is now also leaving, and he's going to Netflix to make a AAA game.
None of that makes any sense, but that doesn't worry me. That actually encourages me.
Okay.
Because I think they've taken it down a certain path and have literally gotten to the dead end of that path, and they have to create a new way forward. And I think whether that's fresh blood, and I think that because of how passionate the Halo fan base is, my guess is that people are going to find ways to honor where Halo's come from while still making it new. And I wonder if this is kind of like time to, tell George Lucas to step aside for a moment if there's that kind of a figurehead there. And that
worked out really well for.
Well, I was just realizing George. I was saying the metaphor, but
yes, it has
episodes
to happen,
1, 2, and 3 were legitimately some of the worst movies ever made, and then I'm standing by that. And then I liked episode 7 a lot. Have you
watched? We'll talk about a tangent. Have you watched the prequel trilogy with your kids?
No.
No.
But I hear what you're saying, and I bet it would be a different experience. But I watched it with the guys in Pixel Games Squad years ago. I watched the Phantom Menace, and I was like, well, that one's okay. Oh my gosh.
That's funny, because that's the one that a lot of people are like, Attack of the Clones is okay, and Revenge of the Sith is actually not bad.
The dialogue is... I felt myself disintegrating while watching Attack of the Clones, and then I tried to watch episode 3 because everyone's like, episode 3 is so good. It is not, you guys. I'm sorry, but for my wife and I started to watch it, and then we were like, what is going on? Like, not what is going on, we help us understand the narrative, but just what are they doing here? And then we just kept skipping forward, and I was finally like, I just need to get to the part where Vader's in the lava. And
I need him to lose his limbs so we can move on with our lives.
Yeah.
Anyway. I look.
But Halo, yes, yeah.
I will ask, as a person who has no stake in the Halo fight, I won't finish it because I didn't even start it. I pose the question: is Halo over?
That's a good question.
Is it possible that, hey, Halo is just going to be a game that, a decreasing amount of people forever will enjoy?
It might make sense as a way of saving the brand of Halo and the design of Halo to let it sleep for a little longer and then bring it back. And when we all go, oh, remember Halo, they're bringing a new one. Whatever happened to it? And we all get all hyped for it again. And it's, fresh graphics and everything. I don't know, but I'll just say that I wanted to love the current game. I don't love it. I just think it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly not bad.
Give me a narrative that's a little more cleanly told,
so that you can ignore it.
No. See, that's the thing, is I want to pay attention, but just the way that the narrative is told to me is I don't. Some of my friends who play Halo read all of the books that are connected to it and all things, but we need to move on because we've got a lot to talk about.
We do have a lot. So that's it for the non-Nintendo news. Let's just talk about a lot of Nintendo stuff.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to talk about is Nintendo's future, the future in September, because Nintendo is hosting a live in-person event in September in, I believe, Washington, where they're at. Where they're...
And Nintendo, if you're watching, we'll be there. Just give us the plane and hotel, please. Thank you so much.
So, here's the thing.
Yeah.
They're doing an event. They're not... This is, well after what would be E3, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to be after the summer. It's going to be after stuff. We also have, their biggest release is coming out in mere weeks. And as far as we know,
yeah,
there's nothing else slated for the rest of this year.
As far as we know.
I am going to go on record. I don't think there's a secret Mario Odyssey 2 that's going to be announced for the fall. I think Zelda is the big game. I think they've got a lot of stuff, small stuff that'll come out. We even saw a bunch of it today. But they're doing this event where they want people to come. They want them to play the games that they have already out. They're not saying there's going to be any announcements. However, can we just blue sky for a little bit?
Let's go.
You have an in-person event, which Nintendo doesn't normally do.
They don't.
They have a big den stage where they could talk about anything they wanted with a bunch of eyes.
Anything.
What if one of those things was, here's the new Switch?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you announce it at this thing?
You would. And I've also heard...
For next year. You know, it's like not coming out, but like...
I have also
here's
heard
the Switch 2.
People say, reports from Nintendo, that they're like, why would we make a new Switch when this one continues to sell
because
insanely?
It is getting... The tech is long in the tooth. It was long in the tooth when it came out.
But that's every Nintendo console.
It is, but now they're past the point.
I mean, they didn't have internet capabilities, but that's graphically true. it was better than PS2.
Yeah, but yes. So
I feel like
you're right about
Wii was the biggest step away when everyone else was HD and Wii was still.
Yeah. But you're right that they always kind of start a little bit back and don't care so much. But there is a point where they had to do that with like the Wii U. They definitely got there. I do think that a Switch 2 or a Switch Pro, let's just say, look, we know they've been working on that for a long time. There's already been reports.
Let's be clear. We could do, as soon as a new console comes out, 3 years prior to that, they started R&D on the one that's coming out after.
Yeah. I think that they're going to have a successor to the Switch at some point. Yeah. Just because they want... Look, you are fooling yourself if you don't think Nintendo wants the sweet $300 from me again. Because I will straight up... I've already bought 2 Switches.
Yeah.
I will buy a third Switch. I didn't buy an OLED. If they don't announce anything for a long time, maybe that's what will get me to do it. But, like... I'm in for a Switch 2 the second it's available.
And
I think that there is a huge number of the people right now that they've already sold to that are the exact same thing. So I think it's a no-brainer. And if it's backwards compatible, your whole library works, it actually plays some of the games a little bit better.
Yeah. The thing that speaks to my age, I have no problem with the graphics and the power of the Switch. I know that like it needs to be stronger to run the most modern of games.
I need better frame rates. I don't care about the image quality, but...
Fine.
I need a better frame rate.
I'm with that. I get that. But there's something about I'm content with it as it is. And I frankly buy a Switch for the first party stuff anyways. And if I'm playing anything third party, I'm not getting The Witcher for the Switch, as novel as an idea as that is. I'm not on the road enough to justify it. 1 and 2. I want to get the highest graphical presentation I can out of it, and that's going to be on Series X or whatever.
But what else are you going to do? They have an in-person... I just think we could see something special.
I would love a new Switch.
Yeah, and I think we could see something special.
Do you think they're going to do another Switch type of a hybrid console, or do you think they're going to go to something different?
No, I think they'll stick with it. I think it worked really well.
It only makes sense at this point, too. And everyone's trying to do that now.
I think they're just going to make... Literally, they're going to make a Switch. They're going to call it something like Super Switch. And it's just going to be a more powered Switch, but it is that they can just keep... They can keep their train moving the exact way it's been moving.
Yeah.
And they don't really have to do anything other than they get a huge cash injection from everyone who's already bought all their hardware buys another round of it.
Well, Nintendo, for whatever reason, is a company that can make tons of apparent mistakes. What I mean is, on the surface, it looks what are you doing? Yeah. And all it takes is for them to just throw you like a small little nugget or morsel of something, and you're like, you guys never stop with this feast, do you? Like, and even though you might feel starving, like, people forgive Nintendo so fast.
But I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I don't even think it's so much that people are willing to, like, sort of forget and, like, give them a pass. I think Nintendo swings for the fences, and when they miss, they I don't play baseball, but I imagine, like, if the guy missed and then also fell down and then his pants fell down and then the bat like flew up in the air and then came back down and hit him on the head. That's a strike, right? It's like you failed so miserably. But what I don't think people realize is that when Nintendo hits, they hit
home runs
out of the stratosphere.
Yeah, they hit into the stadium on the other side of the country.
So the Wii U is just like it's one of those things where it's like you guys you made the wrong calls, you made the wrong bets, it didn't pan out. And then the Switch is like, we learned all the lessons we needed to, and they just hit another home run. So I don't think it's so much that I think a lot of people do give Nintendo a pass, but I think Nintendo, when they do well, does really well.
They do.
And I think when they mess up, they mess up. And they're a company that they go for it, man. They go for it.
Let's go Wii U real quick. I think if they would have just named that console Wii 2, like Wii HD, or anything other
Super
than
Wii,
or I don't know, maybe Wii U was supposed to be that, but if they got the name right on it, that console would have been a massive hit.
No, I don't think so.
I think there's so much in the name that
I think that this was
the gamepad.
It's 2 feet in. It's a foot in the tub. Because the Switch proves that, like, that's what really people wanted.
Yeah.
I remember I plugged my Wii U in my bedroom in a wall and just left it so that I could sit in bed with the gamepad.
Yeah.
And I thought, boy, this is great. I wish that, like, if it could be divorced from that. And that's what they did with the Switch. They really did, like, come all the way through.
Tell me about IndieWorld, because I know we got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do. We do have a lot to talk about. So, IndieWorld, Nintendo had about a 20-minute presentation today.
Okay.
Bunch of indie games.
Okay.
If indie games aren't your thing, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, Limited Run is already knocking on the doors of all of these games.
Are they?
I mean, certainly, right?
Of course. Yeah. Well, so there was a lot of things, and I don't even necessarily know to go through all of them because some of them I watched and I'm like, not sure. But I did want to highlight some that really spoke to me.
Okay.
And the most important one probably...
Like spiritually?
Yeah, oh yeah. So, Rift of the Necrodancer.
Okay.
Which is from the guys who made Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever play Crypt of the Necrodancer?
Obviously. I have not.
Okay. Yeah. So, Crypt of the Necrodancer is like a rhythm-based like dungeon crawler.
Okay.
You are moving on squares and all the enemies are moving on squares and there is a beat to the song that's going on. And if you move on the beat or you attack on the beat... I have
heard of this. Yeah, I've heard it's a great game.
It's a great game. It's very cool. It is... I'm a big rhythm game guy.
Yes.
Played a lot of the guitar games. I played... I play a lot of... it's not quite a rhythm game, but there's a guitar-based game called Rocksmith, which is playing real guitar.
I'm very familiar with that game.
But my absolute top 3 favorite Nintendo franchise is Rhythm Heaven.
Uh-huh.
I love Rhythm Heaven with a passion that burns brightly, and it is unbelievable.
Okay.
Rift of the Necrodancer is not the same style as Crypt of the Necrodancer. They are going in a different style, and it's got hints of Rhythm Tengoku, which is that's awesome. The Japanese version. I am very excited about that.
Very cool.
And it's got even some Guitar Hero in it too, where it's like the lanes are coming down, but that's the fighting that you're doing is attacking them. So I think that looks great. I think there's stuff like, there's some Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon stuff, which if you like the kind
Shovel Knight's great.
Puzzle stuff. Animal Well, which is a game a lot of people are talking about.
I haven't heard of that one.
Neither have I. It was the first time I ever seen it. Crime O'Clock, which is just a great name.
It is a great
what time is it? It's Crime O'Clock.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games that are coming out. Blasphemous 2. I liked the first Blasphemous game. I didn't finish it, but it seemed like it could be. But did you play Oxenfree?
All the way through, front to back. Josh, I wanted to love that game.
Really?
And I really liked it.
Okay.
But I was reading online trying to understand the story more. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm a broken record on that point. Mm-hmm. But
Cortana, the Arbiter,
Oxenfree.
Yeah, there you go. That's who they were doing.
But I loved it. Yeah. And
okay.
Yeah. You loved it?
I loved Oxenfree.
The style.
I loved it.
What they were trying to
and
do.
Radio.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a submarine.
Yep.
And,
yep.
Yeah.
A bunch of submarine ghosts.
Yeah.
So Oxenfree 2 looks great.
Yeah.
It's a Netflix game. I will
100% play Oxenfree 2.
Okay. There we go. So I was very excited about that. That was kind of their final one. Like that was their right. What would you call it? Like the big special at the end, right?
Yeah.
We announced the Oxenfree 2.
Yeah.
It's been in development forever.
That's
and
great.
The fact that we now know that it's coming out, very exciting. There are a lot of cats stuff. A lot of cats. Quilts and Cats of Calico, which is a quilting cat game, I guess. Mineko's Night Market is also a cat game where you're like running a night market for a cat.
Yeah, Little Kitty Big City.
Little Kitty Big City,
Yeah.
which looks kind of a little bit like Untitled Goose Game, maybe, but you're a cat instead.
That's great.
Stealing stuff.
As long as there's a button where you can walk behind your owner and just bop them in the head or swipe their head. We had a cat when I was in an apartment off campus in my college years. And my roommate had a cat, and his name was Sebastian. And that little expletive,
that little guy
walked up to me while I was sitting on the floor playing, actually Dreamcast. I was playing Unreal Tournament. I still remember that for some reason. And all of a sudden, I'm like, "What the heck?" Like, I grabbed back my head, and that stupid cat jumped up to the mop that is the back of my hair and swiped it. And it was like an orange cat, and someone was like, "Oh, orange cats are more aggressive." I'm like, that's a thing.
Yeah, they're generally male. Cat, if it's a real cat game, what you do is you should be able to do is walk in front of a person, then lay down right in front of their foot so that they trip over you, which is what they do.
By the way, I know that Crime O'Clock is our game of IndieWorld for its title, but the runner-up was Brotato. We didn't mention
I've
that.
actually played a lot of Brotato.
And?
I love Brotato. But Brotato is
That's amazing.
Yes. This is the greatest...
Next three things you say you have to incorporate the word bro
into greatest Brotato injustice that's ever happened to the Nintendo Switch Brotato is that Vampire Survivors is not on it.
Okay, you're 1 for 3 so far. You have to get two more.
I did two.
No, you have to use bro independent of Tato.
Okay. I got you, bro.
Yeah. I'll count that as
bro. Broham, listen to me.
Don't try too hard.
Listen to me about the Gospel of Vampire Survivors.
Okay.
That is the best game that came out last year. I think it came out technically December before.
Gerard the Completionist did a whole episode on it. If I'm thinking of the game, it's like a what's the genre?
Yeah, it's called kind of a bullet heaven, auto shooting survival. Like it kind of made a new thing. You don't do any of the shooting.
Kind of a roguelike?
No. Well, yes, in a way.
Okay.
You make a run, but you don't. All you control is your movement.
Okay.
And you're just shooting a million like bullets out.
All right.
And Brotato is similar to that.
Okay.
And Vampire Survivors is fantastic, and the Switch should have it. If the Switch doesn't have it, Brotato is a decent alternative. So
okay,
everybody should play Brotato. Try it out. Teslagrad 2, I heard a lot of people are very excited about. Shadows Over Loathing, which is the it's not a sequel, but it's in the same universe.
Limited Run, I believe, released the first version of that game.
The West of Loathing, whatever it is. I didn't play any of that. So
West of Brothing. Thank you.
West of Brothing.
I'm on 2. 1. That's 1 out of 3 for me.
All right. Well, you're going to go to jail.
All right.
So yeah, a lot of cool stuff there. Again, I think Indies is a place where Nintendo really shines, and I also think that if the indie game runs well, the Switch is a great place to play a lot of games like this, because maybe you just want to sit on your couch and play it. Maybe you want to sit in bed and play it. And then maybe you want to pop it in the TV and play it.
Yeah.
You're covered with all of that.
You're bro covered?
You're bro covered, yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
That's the news, man.
Good news. That's a lot of news.
Good
That's a lot of opinions.
For all the news.
That's a lot of opinions that we had about some pretty popular things. A little bit contrarian. And I'm just going to say that I'll stand behind my opinions for tonight.
I'll say this about Star Wars.
Go on.
I used to be a big fan of Star Wars, and then they kind of beat any love I had for Star Wars out of me. And but I really like that Jedi Fallen Order game that came out. And I'm very excited about the new one, even though I don't care about Star Wars at all. And I actively think a lot of it is very stupid. But I like those games. I think it's fun. Yeah.
Okay.
And I also think, let me shove this in your pipe. Smoke it if you'd like to.
Go on.
I would watch the first 3 those prequel Star Wars movies 1,000,000 times before I will watch any of those new ones. 7, 8, 9. I would watch Phantom Menace 100 times to not watch 10 minutes of any of those movies.
So
they're so bad.
No, absolutely
they're
not.
So bad.
No, they're narratively so confusing. I understood the narrative, but it was such what you did not think this out, and you had the chance to think this out.
There also isn't a single character in those films. There are caricatures of archetypes, but there isn't a single character in that film.
All right. Well, I loved 7. I know that's a hot take.
Yeah, but that's because you liked 4.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know 7 was a remake of 4.
You could just like 4.
It was a great, but I loved 7.
It's fine. 7. You could just keep liking 4.
It's fine.
Which would you rather watch, 4 or 7?
7.
Over 4?
Over 4, yeah.
Really?
To me, they both exist happily in the same place. I tried to watch Return of the Jedi. I know I'm going to get smoked.
No, I think Return of the Jedi is an actively bad movie.
It's an actively bad movie.
So Return of the Jedi is the thing that when people were upset that, because we are old.
We are.
I was in high school when Phantom Menace came out.
Same. I was in college, yeah.
You were probably starting college, right? 99?
I was done with my first year of college.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was senior in high school. We were so excited. My band at school played the Imperial March for one of our songs. Yeah. We were so excited. And then it came out, and obviously everybody had their reaction that they had, which was this felt like it's made for kids. And I remember going, yeah, it wasn't very good, but have you guys watched Return of the Jedi?
Right.
It's made for kids, too.
Before, when people were upset about the prequels, there was an article that came out that said, just remember, no matter what you think about this movie and these series of these prequels, it all ends with dancing bears.
Yeah.
Technically, that's no longer true.
What have you been playing, man? What's been happening?
I just went on a deep-sea fishing trip to Guatemala.
Oh, okay.
Which meant
what game is this? Guatemala Fishing Trip 2023?
It was amazing.
Okay.
But it was not a game, it was an actual real-life human experience.
Wait. Hold on.
Truly.
What do you mean?
Yeah, so...
Not a game. So you didn't download it?
I didn't download it.
Is it a disc?
So it was actually really interesting. Have you ever been on a small, like a biplane or like a charter plane before?
Yeah, there was that Xbox original game, Crimson Skies. No, it's a good game. I flew one of those.
It's crazy because it's like a real life. You can do that for real. So
what? Those are based on real things?
Yeah.
Whoa!
So
you're on a biplane?
Did
you have a red scarf and you're chasing Snoopy?
Maybe it wasn't a biplane, but what it was a small little tiny plane for a portion of it. But check this out. So I took a plane from California to Florida.
Okay.
And then from Florida to Guatemala.
Okay.
That's a lot of flying.
It is.
I played a lot of Vita. And
okay.
A lot of 3DS.
Yeah, that's right.
So on the Vita, I unashamedly enjoyed some of the Call of Duty game that's on there. On the plane. Single player campaign.
Declassified? Is that what that's called?
Black Ops Declassified.
Okay, yeah.
It's not a good game. Objectively, it's bad. The AI is some of the worst programmed in gaming history. Mm-hmm. And I still loved it.
Okay.
It's not a game I've been like, oh man, I got to go play more Call of Duty, but I enjoyed that. I also really love the MLB The Show on Vita is great.
Okay.
I was playing some of that. Played some Unit 13 again. That's a game that I highlighted in one of my YouTube shorts. That
What
I really
is
enjoyed.
that game?
So it's you are like mercenaries.
Is it?
You're like mercenaries. It's a third-person shooter.
Okay.
There's some cover mechanics and other things, and essentially
it's the Vita's win back.
Yeah, but in the sense that it is this perfect little. Each round or level of the game is about 4 or 5 minutes long.
This is what makes good mobile game, or like not mobile but handheld games.
When it is a perfect application of third-person shooters to mobile gaming. So played also Killzone. You can hear the first-person and shooting themes that I love. Killzone is such a well-made game. It is
on Vita.
Yeah, actively hated Killzone 2. I loved Killzone 3. I don't know what the disparity was there. Killzone Shadowfall, I think it is on PS4. I liked it okay.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Liberation on the PSP. The one on the Vita is Sony put real muscle behind that game, and it is great, and the multiplayer is great, but I played single player.
Sure.
And then for
couldn't find anyone else with a Vita on the plane.
Well, I also didn't want to spend the money to connect it to Wi-Fi, and I also think that anyway, more I'll go to the 3DS stuff after you tell me one thing you've been playing.
Okay, I bought Prime Remastered. I never played the Prime games. I had a roommate in college that was playing Prime at the time, and I said, that game looks stupid, and you're stupid.
Wow.
And because I didn't like... I tried playing it, and I was like, this, again, at the time, controls weren't settled for, like, first-person shooters.
Wow.
And I was playing a lot of Counter-Strike. So I looked and said, what you are playing is garbage, and you are a garbage person. And I stand by that. I'll say it now.
Wow.
Now you can play it twin stick, which is the way it's, which is better. But I haven't I booted it up to make sure it worked. So I'm spending time. What I did spend a lot of time playing was Metroid Fusion.
Yes.
Which is the Game Boy Advance game, which I played before.
Yeah.
When I talk about Zeldas, I like my Zeldas top-down. When I talk about Metroids, I like my Metroidsvania.
Yeah.
And I like them side-scrolling. And so what I love about Metroid Fusion, about it, one, it's great on the Switch because it feels like I'm playing ultra widescreen Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
It's huge. And then you put it on the TV and it blows you away. But they did such a great job back then with, hey, we know this is a portable game, but we're going to make the game that you would have played on your Super Nintendo, but we still know it's a portable game. So all those levels are small, bite size, but it's still a full game. You still do all the things, but you're collecting power-ups on, like, it's almost like you're playing Metroid in double time, right? You're picking up stuff really quick. It's great because I feel like I'm doing so much. I'm making so much progress. And then I'm like, okay, I'm if this is all I get to play today because maybe things come up or other stuff happens, I feel great. I've gotten like 2 or 3 power-ups. I finished a whole section, cleared it completely out. What a fantastic game. It's on the Game Boy Advance, like if you're paying for the
Switch.
Expansion pack or whatever. So that's what I'm playing.
On the plane, I also played 3DS.
Okay.
I played Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate, I believe is what it's called.
Yes.
I expected it to be a mediocre / bad.
That's what I've heard.
It's a Konami game, and Konami at this point was seemingly grasping at straws. Yep. I'm really enjoying it.
It's a Metroidvania, right? Like you're exploring, but it's getting stuff.
But folks like me who I feel like there's some orientation around like Castlevania where there's can be a lot of depth and complexity to it. It's maybe one of the problems with it is it's very simple.
Okay.
But in that respect, it's also a lot of fun. So I probably played a few hours of it.
That's not always bad.
I played a few hours of it, really enjoyed it. And then I also played on the 3DS Resident Evil Revelations.
Okay.
Revelatians, depending on your misspelling.
Yep.
Yep.
Is that on a boat?
It is. It's on a boat.
Yeah.
As Lord Sandberg has taught us. I am selling my 3DS copy of it.
Okay.
Because the controls on it, I could never get comfortable with it enough, and I like the bite-sized nature of the game.
Yeah.
I also have it on Xbox One.
Yeah.
I'm going to go play it on Xbox One. So I have a Circle Pad Pro.
I was going to say, isn't this the game that they introduced that with?
Thank God they did, but
even with that,
also, when you're doing dual analog controls on that small of a, it's and I had the little nub that's on the new 3DS XL. And it's like, I felt like I was constantly fighting it. Then I tried the other controls. I got a few levels in, and I was like, you know what? I want to enjoy this game because I can tell that I'm going to enjoy this game. So I'm going to come back to Revelations later. Yeah. Let me get into something that I want. Oh, I'm going to tell you about the little plane in a second. These are large planes that I'm on, by the way. Okay. On said large plane coming home, let's talk about movies. Do you got any more games to talk about?
I don't. Okay. That's it. Other than Overwatch, Season 4 started, Lifeweaver's crazy, the changes to Brig, everyone freaked out over, and it's not that big of a deal. Get over it. She can stun bash once, maybe twice if you get it right off at the beginning. It's not that big of a deal. It's more about the changes that they made to Reinhardt that kind of, he's not as good anymore. Hog's not as good anymore. But Ramattra's still great. So, where'd he go? I'm just talking about Overwatch 2.
No, I just went to the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was gone like 20 minutes.
That's it. I'm done. Even I don't want to talk about Overwatch anymore, and I play it all the time.
Let's talk about movies and TV shows.
Movies and TV shows.
I saw Nope for the first time.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I really liked it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie.
It felt like a Spielberg movie.
I think it might be his best film.
Yeah. I've only seen Get Out and Nope. I like the social commentary aspect of Get Out.
Yeah.
Nope. I know there's a lot of social commentary there as well. There's a lot in the movie behind it that I want to go read about and learn more about. But the characters in that movie, it felt like probably one of my favorite J.J. Abrams movies is Super 8, and I felt like in a way it had a lot of that in common. Maybe less visceral than Super 8.
Yeah.
But
I could see some of that.
The alien design and the idea of what the alien was doing and all of that was really interesting. And I'm sorry if there's spoilers, but it involves a UFO. But I won't say the nature of the UFO.
I thought that twist was great. That's what elevated that movie beyond to me.
Yeah, and I thought
also I'm a little sad you didn't see it in the theater because it was quite an experience in the theater. So
also saw the Super Mario Brothers movie.
You did? I have not seen that yet.
We talked about it on the Retro Wolf 88 podcast. Go watch my full thoughts there with them.
Okay.
We spent probably almost the whole podcast talking about it, or half podcast talking about it. But
where'd you fall with it?
I really liked it.
Okay.
I don't know that I'm like dying to go out and watch it again.
Okay.
Unless I am with my kids. I watched it with my kids. They were screaming with laughter.
So the kids saw it with you. You saw it with them.
We're at the theaters.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was gonna ask if
my wife and I were at the theater with the kids. We were screaming. We were howling. Like there are points where they were jumping up out of their chairs and like going, yeah. Like it was.
That's literally the only thing they needed to do, really.
Well, I've seen 3 movies in the theaters with my kids. Frozen 2, they were like halfway through, like, Dad, can we go? And they loved that movie. It's just more that they were too young, I think, to enjoy the theater experience.
Okay.
Coco, which they sat through and they just were glad they had popcorn.
Sure. Okay.
Sorry, not Coco. Encanto. Excuse me. Encanto.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And now
Super
this
Mario
one, and they every day since then have said, "Can we go see Super Mario Brothers again?" So we had a great time.
We didn't talk about the news, but like it's about to cross $1 billion. Like it's I think it's gonna be the first animated film to do it. It's
as
crazy.
Mr. GameCube Galaxy said on the Retro Wolf 88 podcast, it's the start of the NCU. You think about it. And I think he's right. There's so much that you can do.
Yeah.
If you can make it work with Nintendo.
Right.
That's like, what about an F-Zero movie? What about a Punch-Out movie? What about a Star Fox movie?
Do you think that that's going to be harder to do if you're taking these series that don't have a lot of humor? Like, there's not like humor in F-Zero.
But the thing is, those...
Or would you put F-Zero
Miyamoto's design has always been just make it fun.
Yeah.
Don't like care. He doesn't care about the story that much. And I think that blank slate with the right architect can turn it into something really special.
Well, it certainly is a good, the fact that it can be successful at all is a huge boon to it because, Super Mario Brothers in film has started off not great.
Right.
And it also was a thing where I think it could have come out and been like, yeah, it was fine.
Yeah,
it was fine. It was whatever.
No.
Like the fact that people are coming out and being like, that was great, really good. Nobody, I haven't heard a single person talk about Chris Pratt's Mario voice since it came out. So I guess it doesn't matter. Which it maybe never did.
It seemed like something happened between the trailer and the production of the film where something got adjusted. It very well may have, and that's very cool. We'll go back to that in a minute, but I want to mention this.
Okay.
I was finally able to publicly announce what we talked about last time
on the
GarageCast, which is that
my
kids are in Wes Anderson's next film, Asteroid City, and I am so excited to share that news. Primarily because I'm such a massive fan of Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
And just to have the experience of being there was so incredible. And so, but when I put out the video of the kids and I going to the swap meet, it's probably one of, if not my favorite videos I've ever made. Most of my videos get around, they get a few thousand views each, up to around 10. This one's barely hit 2. And I'm not complaining about the views, but more just like, oh man, I thought people would watch this. So if you haven't watched that video, you should absolutely watch it. We have a lot of fun in it, and it's very much an homage to Mr. Anderson.
Yep.
And
there's some sequences ripped right out of a
straight
Wes
out.
Anderson
But that was the big gargantuan news on the last podcast, and go watch the trailer for it. I can't say anything beyond what I've said, per all the things that go into these sorts of things. But
they are in it.
Like, I don't know how to say this. I'm excited about this because it was an amazing experience for my family.
Sure.
That's why I'm so excited to talk about this. Like, that's like that. Not the look at the cat. I don't know how to say it right, but I hope you hear the enthusiasm and the excitement for, like, it was an absolute joy and pleasure for my family.
As a person that likes Wes Anderson films, when I see a Wes Anderson trailer and I go, that looks like a Wes Anderson film, that's the best thing I could say about it. Because when I watch those, I don't want Wes Anderson to go try to make a totally different type of movie.
Yeah.
Because I want him to make his movies, because he's the only guy making his movies.
Yeah.
So I'll take one of those anytime, even when I don't quite like them. There's so many that I do like, and this one looks like it's going to be a great. I mean, it looks like it's going to be right up there.
I cannot wait for people to see what's there. It's going to be a really fun one.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies,
yes,
that's right. I'm going to try. Okay, I want you to rate my transition that I'm about to do.
Okay. All right.
On a scale of 1 to 10, this is the Olympic Committee, Mr. Josh. So we spent. I already fumbled up the stuff.
We'll do it again.
Okay. Josh, speaking of the Super Mario Brothers movie, have I told you about what's happening at our panel at SoCal Gaming Expo?
What?
Yeah! Oh, baby!
Let me rate the transition.
Thank you.
Sound 7, graphics 9, presentation I'm going to give a 9. So I think overall, that transition was like a 7.5.
I gotta tell you, I stumbled at the gate on that one, but that was partly intentional because I think it's more endearing when you show the screw-ups.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, good.
7 out of 10. Every game is a 7 out of 10. Every transition is a 7 out of 10.
I am thrilled because one of my biggest goals when I started this channel was to have a panel at SoCal Gaming Expo. It was because I love all of you who have panels, who do things.
Yep.
You're wonderful.
Yep.
You're wonderful people. But usually, there's a really cool Q&A. It's really fun. You get to talk to your favorite creators.
Yep.
I've watched the Metal Jesus Rocks panels a bunch where, it's him and his crew up there and they just take questions. Fascinating information, a lot of fun. When I've been a part of Pixel Game Squad's panels and I've seen them do it before, they do games and stuff. Ours is going to be Conan O'Brien meets...
Whoa.
Like variety show, awesomeness. We had our first, I'm going to call it band practice.
Yeah, that's...
So, a lot of you
more than you could understand that's accurate.
A lot of you may have, and if you haven't, you should watch it, seen Skylar. That was the first time I met him, was when he came to the garage and he brought his collection. He had the boxed Sega Nomads.
Okay.
He's a phenomenal musician. He's a part of a band called High Voltage Arcade, and he played... with someone who is featured on NPR's Tiny Desk.
Yes.
It's like Skylar's legit. He's playing keys, and we're doing remixes of a bunch of songs. We are going to do a bunch of crazy, super
what is
fun
planned
stuff.
is going to be spectacular. It's going to be something special.
But it's going to be a show.
But it's an event.
It's an event. It's not... there will be a little Q&A, but really it's more about trying to do... something fun. And I just met with my friend Brandon, who we're getting multiple camera angles. We're gonna film it. We're gonna put it up.
Those of
online.
you who can't make it out.
Yeah, so you'll get to see the full thing. This is like in my head it looks one way. I hope it looks that way to you when it's done.
I'll tell you, you are like a carnival barker. Like you are vaudevillian in your... Because I've done a lot of panels at Comic Cons.
Yeah.
Nothing. I did a lot of panels where it was like, we are going to stand up here and talk. And that's...
Those are cool.
That's cool, but the minority of things we do in this panel is going to be that. So it's if we can pull off half of the stuff we're trying, it's going to be something else.
We literally are doing a Zoom call this week, I think, or next week where we're like going to do like rehearsals and all. But we're
putting some effort into it. Not like this rinky-dink operation.
We're giving away a Wii U in box.
That's true.
There's a bunch of other prizes. A lot of other Wii and Wii U and other game giveaways. There's a lot of entertainment. There's a lot of things that we hope you will get a good laugh out of, some joy. But I'm excited to officially say that Travis Ruiz will be joining us. Who's Travis Ruiz?
Who is Travis Ruiz?
Great question. Let me tell you. Travis is an insane animator. If you go to his website, theartoftravis.com, and you just look at the concept art he's done, credits to his name are the Sonic Boom television show, Rise of the TMT, Toy Story of Terror. He did Coco. He's done Minions, The Rise of Gru, and, ladies and gentlemen, the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Whoa! Relevant!
Travis is going to be talking with us about his concept art and design that he was directly responsible for in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Wow.
It's not just like he had one character's like mustache in it.
Yeah.
He has full humongous...
He had multiple characters' mustaches.
He had set pieces
that
defined that movie, and moments within those set pieces that define that movie are to his credit.
Wow.
And so I'm not going to spoil all of it, but he is a big reason why some of your favorite things in that movie are in that movie, and we are going to have him in the room live with us.
Yeah.
And this is what's cool. In an animated movie,
yeah,
you know, people market it the same way you do a big budget movie, which is, or you know, you talk about the celebrities who are in it, right? Oh, it's Chris Pratt and Jack Black and
Charlie Day,
yeah, and all the one
Anya Taylor-Joy,
Keegan-Michael Key, right? You know, just like you would for, you know, Wes Anderson's newest film with Tom Hanks and Scarlett Johansson or Margot Robbie.
Jason Sportsman.
But with an animated film, all the more you're hearing the actors' performances from the direction that they get from the director.
Yeah.
But that art design and what's there, I think it plays arguably a different kind of a role than maybe most sort of set piece films.
Right.
I mean, which is not to denigrate any of those craftsmen and craftswomen otherwise, but it's just to say, you will love hearing from Travis. You got to go to our panel.
Yep.
Go to SoCal Gaming Expo. Get your tickets now.
There you go.
It's May 6th and 7th. We don't know if we're going to be on Saturday or Sunday. I'm hoping it will be on Sunday. But we'll
find out, hopefully, and we'll let you know on the Instagram.
We have a lot of fun stuff planned. It's 55 minutes long of Mort's Garage Live with... It's going like we're copying Conan O'Brien, maybe a little too closely in some areas.
Maybe
I don't care.
You pay for the whole seat, but you will only need the edge.
That's something.
Bigfoot's gonna come out and smash a bunch of cars.
It's our pets' heads are falling off. So, have you ever been to a gaming expo before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, have you been to a retro gaming expo?
I have not. I've been to the like retro sections of like some bigger game.
We went to IndieCade together.
We did go to IndieCade.
Was that 10 years ago now? Probably.
I think so. Yeah, close to.
So
yes, it was 100%.
This is what to expect at a retro gaming expo.
Very good.
So there's usually, I don't know what they're going to have planned, but there's usually, like some of your favorite content creators who are making stuff, there's lots of panels, there's lots of interactive elements of that. There's lots of vendors who have, you know, homespun stuff, you know, their own designed artwork or things that are really cool, but there's also lots of people selling retro games, retro gaming items, modern gaming items. It's a great place to haggle, to get deals, and it's a very active sort of open air market. And then there's usually things like arcades and like other free to play stuff. There's tournaments, there's cosplay things. I did a whole thing on last year's SoCal Gaming Expo on my channel. It's one of my first videos, and I went through that one as a vendor. I'm going to be doing the same thing, but I'll be vending there both days.
Okay.
I know you'll be there with me on one of the days.
Yep.
We are going to have so much fun, and if you aren't going to be there, I'm sad.
We are going to film it. We are going to try to film it and get it to you, because we know there's some people that may be in another planet and can't get here on time.
Right.
Because it's a long trip from Mars. or wherever.
Yep.
So we are going to try to get that information to you, so you can experience some of it. But it's going to be pretty magical to be in the room.
I hope it's the inaugural Mort's Garage panel. I hope it's the start of something that just continues to grow and get wild. And you can say,
I can't even think about like
you were there
we're
first.
We're gonna have to top it. Oh no!
Oh, that won't be hard. You know what? For this one, there's stuff that I really wanted to do that I was like, there's just no way I'm gonna be able to pull
I'm
it
glad
off.
you have those because we're gonna need them. Because if this is a success, we're gonna have we're gonna need a year.
I'll say this:
to get ready.
If you currently own a cookie company of some kind, like chocolate chip cookies, do you know what Andy Kaufman used to do at the end of his shows sometimes?
No.
He literally had hired someone to make warm chocolate chip cookies and cold glasses of milk, and he would take people out for like cookies and milk.
I could go for that.
I was dying to do something like that, but I think with the way laws are written now, like I'd get sued if someone got whatever.
Yeah,
but
it's a little tough.
Anyway, it's going to be a really good time. Lots of friendly faces, and I hope to see you there.
Yes.
That'll be good.
Get out there.
Come join us.
Check it out. All right. Well,
what else do we have to talk about?
What else do we have to talk about? I think we just have some Q's and A's.
Let's get to the Q's and the A's. While you're getting that ready, Josh, I started to watch a television show that you recommended to me.
Oh, no, that's right.
I started Succession. Dude. That show is a sledgehammer.
So, it
is a sledgehammer.
I need you to, like, watch all of it and get caught up as soon as possible. Yeah. So, if you can just burn through 4 seasons in, no time.
The biggest fault I have to the show is that each episode is an hour long. And so, unlike other shows where I can binge, like, 5 episodes, and even, like, 40 minutes would have felt, pretty sweet. But I'm 4 episodes into season 1.
Okay, great.
I can't wait to watch more. I just got through the gala that they did.
Yep.
And
which one?
The first gala where I don't want to spoil it too much.
No.
I mean, although this is 5 years old at this point.
It's...
So it's when one of the important members of the family is coming out of a major medical issue.
Oh yes.
And
okay, gotcha.
His first gala back, and
just tell me who do you like in that show? Because the thing about Succession is that it's a serious version of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where you are watching and you're like, you can't like any of these people, nor should you, but you can't also help but like them. They're charming, but they're terrible people.
That's the most interesting thing so far for me is that these characters are so well written. There's relatable and completely unrelatable things about them. Like, we can all get behind the idea of trying to be approved of by a father.
Yes.
And the way that you do that, and the way that those family relationships are, doesn't matter if you have jillions of dollars or just a couple pennies. Everyone can relate to a family system dynamic where there is a father and a son, and there's something biblical about it.
Yep.
And in that respect,
it's ingrained into like human.
Yeah. So I understand some of the character motivations. Like, I want to get a win here because I want to impress my father. And then there's like the pacifying.
I want to prove my father wrong.
Yeah, all of that, and then just the chaotic sort of clown character in the family.
Yeah.
Then you have someone who's sort of connected but disconnected.
I'm looking at all the people that are caught up and just being like, he's the ride you're in for. We just rewatched the entire series in like a month to get it before the first one. We'd already watched it and I thoroughly enjoyed the second time even through as much as I like. It is some of the best television that they've ever made, and I will say that some of the stuff that happens later on, including this season now, it is some of the best television that's ever been created. There's an episode that is just phenomenal. The funny thing is I'm not alone. There's a ton of people that are saying the same thing. Like, this is some of the best stuff. So yeah, I'm in. I think all things, it starts and ends with great writing, and this has that in spades. So yeah, very cool. Q&A. You ready?
Let's go.
All right. I gotta say, I love some of these questions, and some of these questions I think are great too. So, We got...
Before you go there, I have to interrupt you.
Okay.
Let me start with a question from the last Q&A.
Oh, okay.
That we didn't get to
That's
in
right.
time.
Sure.
This one I remember because I screenshot it with my brain. Tough Kid 42.
Okay.
And he said something
Not that tough.
He said something to the effect of, but that's I know the identity of this person.
Oh, okay.
He said something to the effect of, has collecting games changed your relationship to the way you enjoy games? And that is a great question. So
that is a good question.
I used to do what most of us did, which was I would get a couple of games at a time. I'd get only what I wanted to play, and then even if I didn't like it on the first 15 minutes, I would still keep playing it to see if, like, am I really sure, and all of that. And then I would continue to sort of dig away at it, and then, and then I would trade it into GameStop, hopefully get half my money back.
Yep.
It was maybe a kind of expensive rental at worst.
Right.
Fast forward to now, when I can find those same games that we have a local Goodwill here that has brand new games popping out for half the price pretty soon after they're released. And I will, if there's a new release, I'll sometimes go there to try and find a copy of something I want to play. And, I think there's always something in here to play, and yet it's the same thing as having on television. We used to have 12 channels. You turn the dial. Now you have 3,000 channels.
Right.
And you're kind of like, man, there's nothing on to watch.
Right.
But which is weird, because when there's 11 channels, there was always something on to watch.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes with a collection like this, that is a reality. Is sometimes it's like, I'm not sure what I want to play. And then I'm like, oh, I heard that game was good. Like, I'm playing Army of Two right now as well, because that's a fun, like, co-op shooter. And, but so it has changed the way that I enjoy games, because now I have less patience, and I know that's not a good thing, but at the same time, it is what it is. I also think the way that people see my collection, there's a lot there, but I know people with Steam libraries that probably double the size of my game library and physical copies that probably can relate to this a little bit.
Same thing. Yeah, I think that I don't collect games, but I do think that can color how you you have so many more options. I mean, Game Pass has kind of done this to a lot of people too, where it's like, gosh, I could play any of these games, and I might only want to play some of them. And in fact, it's a really good question that that ties into another question we got. Austin, not from Boston. Do you try to play more of every game you get, perhaps not finish them, or do you find yourself sticking through a few games to the end at the expense of playing others?
I'll answer, but I just talked to you. You go.
Yeah, so I think that this is a very kind of elemental feeling that I used to have, where I was like, I gotta finish games. Because I'm not, again, I want to see it through, but how many games coming out ramps up more and more and more, keeps going up. It became more and more difficult. I have finally sort of let go of the idea of hey, you have to finish every game you play. I am okay with playing some of a game and being like, I don't need to keep playing this if I don't want to keep playing this. If something else came out that's more interesting, could always go back to it. But also, if I never go back to it, I did have a good time with what I was playing, or I was enjoying it, and that's okay. That's still valuable, even if it is not. I haven't gotten back to Wolong. It's the first game that I talked about on this very podcast that we did. Yeah. And I don't know if I will. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But I enjoyed what I did play. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Okay. I'm both of these. So I'm always looking for that gameplay experience where I can't wait to get home and pop on the game and advance a little bit further. Yep. Uncharted does that to me.
Yeah.
The first God of War game on PS4 did that for me. So
it helps that they're narratives too. So you're like, I also want to see what happens.
I want to turn the page and see what's in the next chapter. That's for sure. I think that when that kind of an experience happens, I don't play anything else. I don't, but then there's lots of games that I'll play. Like tonight, we were playing Skate 3 with my daughters. We were playing Crash Mode on that. I can play Skate 3 for like 45 minutes and just have on like some like YouTube stuff in the background. And just kind of mindlessly, do flip tricks for a while, and that's so relaxing.
That's how I feel about Burnout.
The other game is Zuma for me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The frog puzzle game. I've owned that game for 15 years.
Yeah.
I still regularly replay the last levels on it, and only like 2 times in my life have I ever been able to actually finish it because it's so challenging and it's so much fun.
Mm-hmm. So Zuma's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. This is a great question from Dionysos.
Yeah.
Which is the most memorable boss fight you've ever had in a game?
Easy answer for me.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, easy.
Really? I've got a couple that I think
you start with one, I'll do one, you do the last one.
A really memorable boss fight, one of maybe the best boss fights in any game ever, is the fight with, I think it's Senator Anderson in Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Mm-hmm. You're fighting a U.S. senator who's like espousing basically like right-wing like capitalist propaganda while he's also like a nanotech monster, and you've got to play it. It's just a great fight. It's really great. It's really funny. It's very humorous and stuff like that. That's a fantastic boss fight.
Nice. Mine is Contra NES.
Oh.
The last boss, the alien boss.
Uh-huh.
I just remember
I don't know if I've ever seen that boss, because I don't know if I could ever get there.
Josh.
Yeah.
So the last level is obviously has nods to the Alien movie, right. Obviously, and the last boss looks like a xenomorph, and the way, at least as my memory serves, but what that game graphically on the NES, what they did on that game with how they made it look, how they made it feel, the 3D style levels, all of it. I just there's multiple aliens in that movie that just look awesome, but the last one, it wasn't particularly memorable because of the gameplay of it, but it was particularly memorable because the imagery is stuck. It's iconic. It's stuck in my head. Yeah. There's I've seen at SoCal Gaming Expo and other expos, people just print out like 3D prints, like these weird like framed 3D prints of that boss fight. So for me, that would be mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have another memorable experience. The first Destiny was a game that I played quite a bit with a couple friends, and in that game you had these 3-man strikes that you would go on, where it's a big level and there's always a big boss at the end. And anybody who played a lot of Destiny 1 totally remember this, and this is early Destiny 1 where it was a way harder game. There was a strike called, I think, the Summoning Pits, and I think the end boss is Fogoth. I was playing with our mutual friend Jesse, and we had a rando with us, a random third person. And in Destiny, if you get taken out, you can respawn, or you can get picked up by somebody. If you respawn like a little bit further back. You got to run in. It's very Halo-ish. As long as not all 3 of you die, you can keep dying and respawning. But if all 3 people die, then the whole thing resets, and you have to go back. And like the boss gets all his health back. The encounter starts over. We were playing this game, and it took us 35 minutes on just the boss. 40 minutes. It was the most tense. There was almost no moment where the 3 of us were all alive at the same time.
That's great.
It was a constant, like, hey, can you... And I mean, we're only communicating really between the 2 of us. We're hoping that this other guy picks it up. Amazingly, this guy's in lockstep with us the entire time.
Oh, I love that.
One of us goes down. It's like, can we get there to pick you up? No, it's too hot. You're gonna have to respawn. We've got to stay alive. Okay, and there were so many moments where it was just one of us down to the skin of our teeth, and we finally beat it. And it was one of those things where I'm just like, this is so amazing that we beat this. This took so long. Had we lost, it would have been so crushing. And like, had we had to give up, I had a couple other moments with Destiny like that, like raids and stuff where we did that, where we couldn't do it. It's so crushing, but when we completed that, I'll never forget that specific one. No other one was ever that good, because eventually in that game you got so powerful, it never was that hard ever again. That I'll remember that forever.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's good.
Cool. All right, so Whizball Commodore wants to know, what's your favorite color cardigan?
Oh, first of all, Whizball is a regular commenter on the channel. Love
Whizball Commodore. That's a name.
That's a name.
That is a name.
I think that there is no such thing as a favorite color cardigan. I think there's a cardigan for every moment and every season and every reason. Sometimes if I'm feeling a little more modern, I'm going to go gray. If I'm feeling a little more classic, like I should have some corduroy pants or something, I'm going with the caramel. You know, I think you could give me a hot pink corduroy and I would probably find a way... Sorry, corduroy. No, cardigan.
Yeah.
I could find a hot pink
you wear a
cardigan.
cardigan, technically.
And I would probably find a use for it. I'm a fan. It's sort of become this thing that's like just represents comfort, and I like it. I like these more than jackets and sweaters. They're the greatest.
Counterpoint.
Oh,
blue. Esther Naturalic, spelled very crazy.
All right.
Wants to know, what's the funniest game you've ever played?
Easy answer.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
I have thought about this, and I still don't know if I have the right answer. Funniest game you've ever played?
Armed and Dangerous on the original Xbox. Have you played this game?
Armed and Dangerous.
Josh. Armed and Dangerous.
Does it have another...
First of all, it's backwards compatible on the Series X.
Okay.
In 4K. Okay. You should absolutely...
I don't have an Xbox, so...
Well, this is going to be tough for you to experience it.
Is that just the name? It's not like...
Armed and Dangerous.
Is it Conker's Armed and Dangerous? No.
No, it is not. I don't think Conker is funny.
Yeah, I don't either. But isn't there a... What's Conker's Xbox game called?
Live and Reloaded.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Armed and...
it was an honest mistake, people. Armed and Reloaded and Dangerous and
Armed and Dangerous
Live.
is a LucasArts game, if I'm not mistaken, or Factor 5 or something like that. And that's why it's backwards compatible, because I think that whole suite of games ended up being backwards compatible. So you're like this mercenary type of a character, and the guns and the weaponry, it's as a game experience, it's basically a third-person shooter. It's fine.
Yeah.
As a shooter, it's fun, but the weapons are... There's standard machine guns and all that stuff, but then there's these crazy weapons. I don't want to spoil them, but stuff that is so creative, and I'm belly laughing at what you do in the game. But as far as the writing in the game and the cutscenes, at this time, a lot of, like by contrast, I played on my Garbage and Gold series a game called Freaky Flyers.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was just like groan-inducing puns and, you know, really like obvious, like lowbrow jokes, like just real...
Yeah.
Just, I think a lot of game stuff is like lowest common denominator in terms of like humor writing. But the... Armed and Dangerous cutscenes and everything are genuinely like catch me off guard with how funny they are.
Interesting. I had a hard time thinking about this because there's like several different lanes, I feel like, in terms of like this game was intended to be a comedy and this game was just very funny, and then this game is funny because of what you do in it. And I think largely comedy's really hard in games. Like,
it is
really
so hard. Yeah.
Because comedy's so based on timing, and when you're writing a game, when you're trying to make a game, you can't always bank on the person that's playing it to do things, you know, get the timing right.
Yeah.
So if I was to say like what's the hardest I think I've laughed at a game was like Gang Beasts, right? Mm-hmm. Which is like because it was a bunch of friends playing it, and it's very goofy, and it's like, you know, the emergent humor was from what we did.
That has like the graffiti on the cover, right?
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like these guys were trying to make a wrestling game, and so their test models for like getting the physics were just these big blobby looking guys, and they just left it like that, and they ended up finding out it was very funny. So it's a game where you can pick your friends up and you can throw them and you can do all these weird things, and we did a lot of it when we were doing Extra Life. There's just a lot of funny moments, but unfortunately, a lot of that comedy is because of like the people I was playing with. Like they did very funny.
Yeah.
So
that's true. There's experiences within games where when you're with people, it's like Skate 3 and Skate 2.
Right.
The party mode in that, there's crash mode. I've played that with senior citizens who've never held a video game controller before, and we are on the floor laughing.
You were also laughing very hard at it at what I assume is like the millionth time you've played that mode, and it was still hitting. Now, in terms of like, you know, I think that like Portal was funny the first time I played it. I don't know if I would laugh at it necessarily now because the jokes are kind of over. I think Jazz Punk is a very funny game. You ever played Jazz Punk?
Never heard of it.
Jazz Punk it's like a comedy game. Like, it's written to be a comedy.
Yeah.
But they kind of nailed it. They figure it out. I don't know, man. Like that's the tough thing about it is I don't know if there's too many games that are really, really that funny, especially playing it multiple times.
Yeah.
But like I played a game called Mud. Is it called Mud Runner? It's called Mud Runner.
Like a truck game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like an Eastern European game that they made for driving through their terrain, which is nothing but mud apparently.
Okay.
And we did this for Extra Life, and you can watch. There's a clip. I'll find it. I laughed so hard I can't breathe, but it's because I went over a bridge, got my truck stuck. You can switch to then another truck. I went, and it's got a winch. I pull my truck out, and as I pull it out to drive it across the bridge, the other truck fell in while I was doing that. I then drive it and make the exact same mistake and tip it over again.
Oh, that's great.
And I remember, our mutual friend Jesse was sitting there next to me, and he's watching as we're live on the internet, and he says, if you didn't think this is exactly what was going to happen, you weren't paying attention. And I laughed so hard, and that's the type of thing where it's like, you can't write that.
No.
Right?
No.
But it's very, very funny.
That's great. Let's do one or two more, and then we'll wrap it up for today.
Yeah. DC Fat Cat, do you try to get in on these Nintendo collector's editions?
Every single one of them.
Every single one of them.
I am
not always successful though.
No, I'm looking for a Zelda Tears of the Kingdom collector's edition. I wish Nintendo did a limited run games style pre-order method where they said you've got a week or a month to get your pre-orders in, and then we're closing them. I wish that to me just makes the most amount of sense. Not because it's because obviously and clearly the people buying the special editions are people using bots and other things, so that all of us who want to actually enjoy the games can't get to them.
Right.
And so, like, you could try and do limits as one per household. You can try and do all that stuff. It's just, gosh, if you could just go, like, even if it was a 24-hour period, like, just...
They've already decided how many they're going to make. They don't care. They'll sell all they make.
And you know what? I'm such a sucker I
fall for it every time.
I don't have Xenoblade 3, which I would love to get that one on Switch. I have all the other special editions, and I don't have Tears of the Kingdom. But the Xenoblade 3 one without the game is like $250. I'm not going to spend that money on it. It's something.
Do you think Tears of the Kingdom is going to pop back up? You think that because it's not out yet, you think there'll be another chance?
Based on the precedent that I've seen from Fire Emblem, and Metroid Dread, I am hoping that Zelda's not going to get specially restricted, but that they'll do the same thing.
Okay, this is, Eduardo Hernandez Lopez. You weren't too late. You got your question in because I like this question. Mort, I've noticed you wear a 68 shirt before in some videos. Are you, or were you a hardcore kid?
Oh, good question.
Imagine seeing you in the pit.
Yeah.
This is fun. I thought this was a funny question because I'm like, boy, you clocked it.
Yeah, I'll answer this one.
Okay.
If you're watching this right now online, you're seeing some B-roll footage of me playing drums in my hardcore band right now. I played as soon as I could, as early as I could. I was playing drums and guitar and starting as many bands as I could. And a lot of that was because in the early mid-90s, there was this genre of music coming up there. I grew up in church, and there was a genre of music called spirit-filled hardcore, which is bands like Focused and Unashamed, which led to the start of... Crucified was this thrash metal band that I think still to this day holds its own. And they opened for like Pantera and stuff. But I went to, so that's how it starts. I was into Tourniquet, Deliverance, Vengeance Rising, Mortification, and the Crucified is probably my favorite out of all of them. Their album Pillars of Humanity, I think, is a masterpiece. And I went and saw them play locally in Laguna Beach. And when we were there at that show, all these bands like Focused and Unashamed and Outspoken, and I forget a lot of the ones, were playing. And I was like, I want that. That is what I want. So I'd go see those bands. And back then, Josh, shows where a hardcore band opened, a punk band played second, a ska band played third, and then another hardcore band closed the show. It did not it was not like genre specific. It was just like more scene specific.
Those went together. Yeah,
it had a weird way of all combining, and you'd be like, oh, the ska band's playing.
Yep.
You know, if you didn't like ska, you just went to the back and like hung out with your friends and talked outside, and oh, the metal band's playing. You know, whatever. So those bands then started playing with all these other bands. And I found, let's go 68. 68 is one of, I think, my favorite bands. The album Two Parts Viper is I think, a near perfect album. Front to back, there's not a song that I skip on it. And what they're doing as two people in a band is great. But the singer Josh Scogan, guitar player, it's two guys. One guy's playing drums, and first of all, I saw them live at a venue called the Slide Bar in Fullerton. That room holds 100 people in it, maybe. And there was maybe 15 of us in the room. They played like they were playing for thousands, and
didn't care.
Just the spirit of DIY hardcore music is everything.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what? There's not a good sound system. That's okay. Like, does someone have a guitar amp you can sing out of? Like, that was just. Who cares? You just wanted to get together and play, and I loved it. I was involved in it. I played drums in bands with it. I was setting up shows. I was all of that kind of stuff. None of my bands, ever went anywhere with any of it, but it was just so actively part of the scene. Right. The last thing I want to say about this is locally there was a venue called Coos Cafe back in the day. Coos was literally a house in downtown Santa Ana that was previously a restaurant called Coos. They couldn't. The story goes, and I could be wrong, that they couldn't afford to change the sign Coos Chinese Food. So they're like, let's just call it Coos Cafe because it's got a lit up sign, and we don't want to pay for new one.
Yeah, those are expensive.
And this is not a joke. Like, Jimmy Eat World's first music video ever is filmed there. My old band back then played with Bright Eyes, and I'm not name dropping, just saying these were all the local
how it
bands.
Happened, yeah.
I saw a show there with Converge, Botch, and The Locust, like on one bill. Like, it was so sweaty and gross in the room that, like, if you were in that room, you probably walked out with a bloody nose, and you wouldn't have it any other way. And in between every song, it was so sweaty that the drummer would turn around, he took off his shirt, and he just kept wiping the window behind it. So all of us who like couldn't fit inside, that were outside and like the patio lawn, everything, looking in, could see. And I mean, this was Converge, one of like the most classic hardcore bands ever. It was one of the wildest experiences, and there was such an accessibility to it. There was like, I think that social media gives you this impression that you are connected to the person that you're watching, and you're really not. Right. But even though you kind of are, but you're not. That music at the time was that. It was like, wow, this band that I love is out from Chicago playing for 50 people, and it's the best night of my life. I mean, so I grew up on all that. I love independent music. I just love music. I mean, I love, non-independent and independent. I love it all. I play drums, play guitar, just a huge fan. Did you grow up on hardcore? You were a punk guy, right?
We were punk rock. So I grew up in San Diego, and I was definitely more punk at that same time. Yeah. So I was like, we were listening to a lot of the Christian punk rock. I mean, MXPX, when Punk Rock Show came out, it was like, I remember it was a revelation with all my friends. And then,
I remember that.
We listened to a lot of like Goaty Hook, Value Pack,
Dogwood is San Diego.
Dogwood. So my band, I was in several bands, and I was in a punk rock band in high school. We opened for Dogwood. We opened for POD. That was another San Diego band.
Kidding.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
dude, I remember when POD got signed to Atlantic, and I saw Sonny at a show. They were playing again. This is the era. There was 40 people in the room.
Right.
And I walked up to Sonny, the singer, and was like, "Hey, congratulations on the Atlantic deal." He's like, "Oh, thanks, bro." And gave me a little fist bump or whatever. Like,
I didn't necessarily spend a lot of time in the pit because I would play on stage. My mom would always come to my shows, and I remember my friend pushed her into the pit once, and she broke her nose immediately.
That's
which
horrible.
Was really funny.
That's horrible.
My friend later on said to me, "He's like, I told you if you didn't stop talking crap to me, I'd break your mom's nose."
Oh my gosh!
So
that's horrible.
Yeah,
all of that is. Legitimately...
I thought it was actually quite funny.
Wow.
But she was fine. I mean, just, broke her nose, whatever. My mom's a trooper. We started a hardcore band later on, kind of late into the 99, 2000. So I got to play a little bit of hardcore. I played a little bass.
Did you follow the hardcore band rule, which is that your name has to start with the, or it can only be one word?
No, I tried. I tried to get it to be one word, and they like the singer when someone asked him. So we were going to be called Fallen.
Okay, that is the best.
Tell me that's not a great name, right?
The best generic hardcore
I said,
band
yeah,
ever.
right. Like, we're going to be called Fallen. So then he gets, for the first show, they asked, what's the band name? And he goes, Fallen Out. And so then the name became Fallen Out, which I'm like, was that good?
Probably there's a hardcore band that played at Coachella this year. Like a legitimate, like a legitimate hardcore band.
Yeah.
Like Refused played Coachella a couple years ago as like a reunion thing. But Refused they're the Godfathers. The Shape of Punk to Come is one of the best albums ever. But the band Knocked Loose played at Coachella.
Okay.
And if you've heard Knocked Loose before, that's a don't mess around hardcore band.
Yeah.
They go hard.
Yeah.
And I saw footage of it. They have a song called Counting Worms where there's
a great name.
It's always the end of their set and it breaks down and there's a part where he goes arf arf like a dog. And the crowd, like, he always just puts the mic out, and it doesn't matter if there's 20 people in the room or 3,000, everyone just shouts, "Orf, orf," and then it goes nuts, and it's really fun. But anyway.
Good memory lane. That's the show.
There you go. We went long this
swim. We did go long.
We keep going a little longer,
Yeah,
but that's okay. Long. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you at SoCal Gaming Expo. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah.
And Josh, let's go live for a little bit. And if
I think so. We're going to try.
We're going to try it and see how it goes. But you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. We have enjoyed seeing you.
Yeah.
Hopefully one more of these before SoCal.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe. We'll see. But if not,
maybe we can get Skylar in on the next one.
That would be fantastic. I'm going to try something out here.
Okay.
Come hang out with us next time. In the garage.
Wow.
What do you think? Yeah, we should have a little.
How about How about
you want to
come park yourself next time in the garage? No.
I want to hang. You ruined it.
Well,
you ruined it.
No, Josh, I'm for it.
You ruined it.
I'm for it.
We'll see you. We'll see you hanging out
I had to
later.
I had to dad joke it. That's all it was.